Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Lu Ji, the crown prince, bent his body and said in a trembling voice, "But you're the only one I can turn to now, grandfather. If you don't do anything, we'll be overthrown." As he spoke, hot tears trickled down his face to the floor like little pearls. Having lived for a long time, Lu Gu easily saw through Luxia. He said, "You can ask your father for help." The imperial family had its own rules. Since Lu Gu had retired and news of his passing had already been announced, how would the imperial family regain the people's trust if he were to show himself? Lu Ji's voice broke slightly as he said, "Father has been in seclusion and has no time to deal with this." Lu Gu appeared confused. He said, "I heard he's already at the 8-leaf stage a long time ago. Why does he need to cultivate in seclusion?" "Father's attempting the 9-leaf stage," Lu Ji replied. Lu Gu frowned slightly when he heard the words a 9-leaf. His eyes flashed as a wave of rage surged in his heart. Bam! Lu Gu slammed his hand down, and a corner of a stone table fell off. Lu Ji was so frightened that he shuddered and kowtowed at once. "Please calm down, grandfather. Calm down. I've said many times that no one from the imperial family is to attempt the 9-leaf stage. Lu Gu, that impudent fool. Summon him here." Lu Ji's face was ghastly pale from rage. Lu Ji did not expect his grandfather to be this infuriated. He was feeling less confident with every passing minute. However, at this point, he had no choice but to plow on. "Grandfather, you've been in this hidden chamber for too long, there are many things you're not privy to about the outside world. The cultivation world has already been turned upside down. There's already a 9-leaf cultivator in the cultivation world." Lu Gu frowned again. He looked at Lu Ji and said, shocked, "Stand up and speak." "Understood." Lu Ji rose to his feet in a respectful manner. Then, he walked to Lu Ji's side and stood there obediently. "Have you seen it?" Lu Gu asked. "I haven't, but the information is genuine. The 7 great sects laid siege on the evil sky pavilion, but they were wiped out by old villain Ji, who's at the 9-leaf stage. Every cultivator in the world knows this," Lu Ji said in a low voice. "The evil sky pavilion's Ji Tiandao?" Shock flashed in the depths of Lu Ji's eyes. "Yes," Lu Ji said in a small voice. Lu Gu did not seem too surprised. Instead, he sighed heavily and said, "How can it be him?" His voice was tinged with slight remorse and confusion. "You know him, grandfather?" "Know him? We go way back. You can even call us old acquaintances," Lu Gu replied. "Alas, the paths we seek are different. He's dedicated to cultivation while I'm dedicated to the empire. Hence, we parted ways. I didn't expect that he truly became a 9-leaf cultivator after all these years." Lu Ji complained out loud, "Not only did old villain Ji become a 9-leaf cultivator, but the cultivation world has also changed." "Changed? Allow me to explain in detail." Then, Lu Ji recounted how old villain Ji wiped out the 7 great sects with his 9-leaf powers, the cultivation theory of severing one's lotus, and the recent events of the cultivation world to Lu Gu, Emperor Yongshou. Lu Ji's eyes widened when he heard this. Toward the latter parts of the narration, he could no longer hold it in. He waved his arm and cursed. "That's too much. Who proposed the cultivation method of severing one's lotus?" Lu Ji replied slowly, "It originated from some information posts. Then, it was spread further. When it's known that someone has survived the ordeal, more and more people followed suit. Father has severed his lotus and is currently recultivating." His voice faltered toward the end of his sentence, and his voice was barely audible. The flames of rage in Lu Ji's heart grew hotter. However, he was no longer the emperor who had control of the heavens and earth. Time was cruel. How was he supposed to intimidate the others with his old bones? The rules and decrees he had once established were disregarded. In the end, he sighed heavily and asked, "Are there any strange happenings in the cultivation world?" Strange happenings? Lu Ji was puzzled. "Do you know why I've decreed that nobody is to attempt the 9-leaf stage?" Lu Ge, Emperor Yongshou, asked in a gruff voice. Lu Ji shook his head. Lu Ge looked at Lu Ji's puzzled expression and shook his head. "Forget it. All you have to do is tell me if there are other changes. The theory of severing one's lotus, the appearance of a 9-leaf cultivator, and the crisis of the imperial family, were these not changes?" Lu Ji shook his head again. Lu Ge spoke earnestly. "I was fortunate enough to be enlightened by a mysterious elite many years ago and reached the 8-leaf stage. Then, I brought peace to the lands. To think that someone else has taken that step, after all." Lu Ji was further puzzled by this statement. "Grandfather, I don't understand. Can that mysterious elite be trusted?" Lu Ge looked at him. With a gruff voice, he said, "Impudent. I've spoken out of turn, but I can't help but wonder. It's said that the 9-leaf stage will bring forth disasters, but old villain Ji is already at the 9-leaf stage. Yet, there haven't been any disasters so far. The path of the heavens was a cycle. The heavens must have their reasons to list the 9-leaf stage as taboo. If humans wanted to encroach upon the forbidden, they would have to pay the price." Lu Ge shifted his gaze away from his grandson and said, "I'll judge whether the 9-leaf stage is true myself." Lu Ji was delighted to hear this. "Grandfather, are you emerging from this mountain?" Lu Ge moved his arm and slid off the dais. Like any other old man, his movements seemed rigid and slow. After descending from the dais, one could see his slightly hunched back. He asked, "Who are the 8 great generals of this time?" Lu Ji counted. General Xian Jingyun of the Northern Gate Garrison, General Wang Yu of the Southern Gate Garrison, General Han Yuan of the Eastern Gate Garrison, but General Han has lost his life at the Obedient Villa and is currently replaced by the Daoist elite, General Ji Qingqing. There's also General Xiang Lai of the Western Gate Garrison whom we, unfortunately, lost in the Battle of Liang Province. His position is currently vacant. We have General Ma Luping of the Southeastern Gate Garrison, General Guiran of the Northeastern Gate Garrison, and General Su Sheng of the Northwestern Gate Garrison. Finally, there was General Wen Shu of the Southwestern Gate Garrison, but he died while reinforcing the troops at Jing Province." When he heard these names, Lu Ge said, "Han Yuan likes to play petty tricks. I'm not surprised that he ended up like that. Wen Shu and Xiang Lai had always been steady and mature. How did they die?" The Evil Sky Pavilion's 7th disciple, Si Wuya, is skilled in scheming. He's a cunning and despicable person. He had been a grand tutor, an official with a meteoric rise in the palace once. Yong Ning takes his side. This man has founded the dark net that has an extensive information network. It's even possible that he has sources planted around me. Generals Xiang and Wen fell prey to his schemes and lost their lives. Lu Ge shook his head and said, "I've underestimated him slightly. He has truly recruited many talented disciples." Then, he stepped forward and said, "In that case, have Su Sheng and Guiran accompany me." When Lu Ji heard this, he bowed hastily. "I'll see to it at once." When Lu Ji left the hidden chamber, Lu Ge glanced at the dusty box in a corner and muttered to himself, "I pray that peace will descend on the world and that everything's just a dream." Meanwhile, inside the hidden chamber in the Evil Sky Pavilion, Lu Zhou was surrounded by a sea of mystical runes. He was seemingly unconscious, unaware of his surroundings. He did not know how much time had passed, but he did not want the state he was in to come to an end. This immersive feeling was like being in a deep sleep. The runes surfaced in his mind. Slowly, the runes shifted and morphed into scripts that formed this sentence: "The first step is to connect Qi before connecting the mind and finally connecting the spirit. Enlightenment comes after all are connected, and the path toward the throne will be shown. To gain the power to hear everything so that we can hear voices in all realms at will." Lu Zhou's consciousness stirred slightly. He had seen these words when he first opened the human scroll. Why would they appear in the earth scroll as well? He was puzzled. At this moment, he vaguely heard someone's voice. Little junior sister, this is how you do it. Like this, yes. Outside the Great Hall. Zhu Honggong was patiently showing Conk how to condense qi into energy. The bigger the energy sword, the more primal qi and control you need. You've just started cultivating, we'll focus on the basics for now. Once you have enough primal qi and you're in the sense condensing realm, you'll be able to form a purer energy sword. Oh. Conk seemed to only vaguely understand what he meant. She had been cultivating the breathing technique that Zhou gave her during the past 3 months. She was forming primal qi and expanding her Dantian sea of qi. These basic cultivation exercises were inevitably bland. When she saw her seniors unleashing various energy seals every day, she could not help but feel envious. Let's start small, the size of your finger. Follow my instructions, calm your breath, focus your mind, guide your primal qi along the extraordinary 8 meridians, and release them from your finger into energy. Zhu Honggong was instructing her seriously. At the same time, an energy sword materialized above his palm. It was only the size of his finger as it hovered there silently. You're amazing, 8th senior brother, Conk said as she applauded Zhu Honggong. A proud expression appeared on Zhu Honggong's face. He said, this is nothing. With better control, you'll be able to form purer, larger, and more energy swords. Be patient. It won't be a problem so long as you're willing to spend some time on it. Is this how you do it? Whiz. A finger-sized energy sword hovered above Conk's fair palm. It seemed more translucent than Zhu Honggong's. Zhu Honggong was stunned. He could not believe his eyes. He rubbed his eyes and focused his gaze again. It was a genuinely bright energy sword. Faint red radiance swirled around the energy sword. 8th senior brother? Conk said softly. Oh. Yes, that's what you can do once you reduce the size enough. Zhu Honggong focused his mind and raised his hand. A palm-sized energy sword hovered above his palm. Surely, he could show his prestige as a senior brother with an energy sword of this size, right? Is this it? Conk spread her palm again. A palm-sized energy sword appeared. Zhu Honggong. She's so powerful? Who should he turn to? No, I must soften her edges. As he looked at Conk's pure and innocent face, Zhu Honggong decided to try something more difficult. He had to establish his superiority as a senior brother, after all. Condensing energy is only at the beginner's level. I think that you're initiated enough to form a palm-sized energy sword. To be honest, energy swords aren't my forte. That's more of second senior brother's specialty. He can instantly form 100 energy swords. The sword saint, Luo Shisan, can form 13 substantial energy swords. What about you, 8th senior brother? Conk looked at Zhu Honggong expectantly. Then, she added, I want to see. Zhu Honggong cleared his throat and calmed his spirit. Then, he said, I'm more skilled in energy fists. After he said this, he raised his hands. The tear-stained boxing gloves covered his hands, and he punched the air. A fist-shaped energy shot out. Bam! It struck a tree. A dent could be seen on the tree's trunk. Do you want to learn this? Zhu Honggong looked at Conk. A hint of delight could be heard in his voice. Conk, who was initially interested, shook her head when she saw the huge fists that were in no way aesthetically pleasing. No. What do you want to learn, then? I'll teach you, Zhu Honggong said. Energy swords. Zhu Honggong was rendered briefly speechless. Then, he said, energy swords are fine. I might not be skilled in them, but I think it's more than enough for me to teach you. He put his boxing gloves away. He focused his breathing and mind. 3 energy swords materialized above his palm. Although they were not huge, it was an easy feat for a nascent divinity realm elite. Conk spread her palm and asked, like this? 3 energy swords appeared above her palm. Zhu Honggong's eyes widened. He felt stifled. Ordinary cultivators would need years to reach the sense-condensing realm from the mystic and lightning realm. They would have needed 2 to 3 years of training to produce energy swords like these. Yet, she managed this in 3 months? He looked at the 3 energy swords. Stay calm. Hold the fort. This time, he did all he could. Within a few meters of himself, palm-sized energy swords filled the air. They were arranged neatly, and they shone brightly. What do you think, little junior sister? Indeed, Kong could not achieve this level of energy condensation. However, she seemed to like such gorgeous displays. Hence, she applauded him and said, again, 8th senior brother. More, what? He was not skilled in this to begin with. It was taking a lot out of him to maintain them for long. Zhu Honggong clenched his fist. The energy swords faded away. Master is more skilled in these messy and flashy energy sword skills. I can't do it. Inside the hidden chamber, the sentences that reached Lu Zhou's ears were usually in pieces. However, this particular statement clearly entered his ears. Lu Zhou instinctively rebuked Zhu Honggong, nonsense. Are you asking for a beating? A faint blue light shrouded the sound wave as it traveled out of the hidden chamber and reached the outside of the Great Hall in just an instant. To Zhu Honggong, it was as shocking as seeing a bolt of lightning when the sky was blue. He trembled inwardly. Thud. Zhu Honggong fell to his knees as he said, I was wrong, master. I'll slap myself. He did not hesitate as he slapped himself twice on the cheeks. Disciplined Zhu Honggong. Reward, 200 merit points. Kong appeared shocked as she looked in the direction of the hidden chamber. She bowed. Master. There was no reply from the hidden chamber. Everything was as silent as it had been. Zhu Honggong looked up, making a mental note to himself. Master is too powerful. It's as though he's omnipresent. How did he hear that? I should stay far away from now. He got up and looked at Kong meaningfully. Let's go to the back of the mountain. Back of the mountain? It's quiet there and suitable for cultivation. You've only managed to form 3 palm-sized energy swords. That's far from enough. I'll teach you how to form the 4th one. 4th one. Kong scratched her head and spread her palm again. Whiz. As her primal chi surged, energy swords appeared on her palm. There were 4 of them, no more, no less. Zhu Honggong's expression turned stiff. He was at a loss as to what to say. He snapped back to his senses after Kong clenched her fist and the energy swords scattered. Kong said, 8th senior brother, I want to learn how to make as many energy swords as you did. Zhu Honggong seemed to be put in a tight spot. He turned around and left. 8th senior brother, how can I make bigger energy swords? Next time. 8th senior brother, I want to learn. 8th senior brother, don't run. How can I make an energy sword as huge as a large tree? Zhu Honggong picked up the pace. Kong gave chase. After they vanished, Mingxian poked his head out from behind a nearby tree. He had dark circles around his eyes. He patted his chest and sighed in relief. Finally, I don't have to teach that little ancestor anymore. Throughout these 3 months, the seniors had been taking turns to teach Kong. In the beginning, everyone was eager to take on the role of a teacher. However, with the passage of time, they realized that Kong was not merely talented, she was sharp, loved to learn, and was persistent about reaching perfection. She loved to get to the bottom of things, no matter what the topic was. She would not rest until she mastered what she wanted to learn. As this went on, even Duanmu Shang and Zhao Yu were tormented by this. Even someone as slippery as Mingxian could not escape Kong's persistence. Mingxian stretched his limbs and yawned as he said to himself, let's take a nap. As soon as Mingxian finished speaking, Kong's voice reached his ears. 4th senior brother, can you continue to teach me? I want to learn how to make a lot of energy swords. Thud. Mingxian's chest tightened. He cursed silently as he fell off the branch. At this very moment, a female disciple hurried down the mountain. When she saw Mingxirin and Conk before the Great Hall, she bowed and said, "Greetings, Mr. Fourth, Miss Tenth." Mingxirin struck the ground with a single palm. He did 2 flips in the air as he stood and calmly asked, "What's with the urgency? Someone's requesting an audience at the foot of the mountain."